Can't pay your tax bill this January? Well, don't worry, there's a couple of things you can do about it. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey. And what a journey it's been through 2020 and into 2021 with the coronavirus and now the lockdowns that are in early 2021 here in the UK. And as a result, quite a few people, clients and other people in the business community that I've spoken to are concerned about parting with their tax bill cash right now, especially when they're very, very tight for it or they just physically can't part with it. So in this video, I wanted to talk to you about A, what you can normally do in this circumstance, and also B, there's a new system that they've introduced which has some interesting points around it, but it should allow you to spread those payments. So I'm going to talk about those couple of things in this video, so do make sure you stay to the end so you can get all the information of the two options. But before we get into it, make sure to click the subscribe button below so you get notified whenever we release more videos just like this one. So what's the new system? Well, the new system is a time to pay, sort of an automatic time to pay system. Now, it's an online only system. Unfortunately, us mere accountants can't even do it for our clients. And what happens is you log on to a link, which I will put into the comments so that you can go there if you want to get going and do this yourself. And if you've got a tax bill of under £30,000, you don't owe them any other money, and you're doing this before the 31st of March 21, you can use this new online system to go and apply to spread these payments, and it'll ask you what you'd like to spread them over. You can get a time to pay of up to around 12 months on it and just spread it over. There is some interest, it's about 2.6%, and you will pay that over the time, but you don't have the other penalties and things that you might have. So it's quite a good way of doing it. Now, the only issue, I say the only issue, one of the main practical issues is we had a play internally with trying to do it. You know, we try to log on and see what the process is so we could see from clients. And it isn't as easy as we'd hoped. Because what it needs is a government gateway ID. So if you do your own tax return, you'd already have one of these. If you don't, so let's say you've got an accountant that is doing it for you, then you might need to set that up. It doesn't actually take 2 minutes online, actually, that bit, but you will have to set it up. So make sure you note those government gateway ID and credentials somewhere for later use. I think it's a good thing to have anyway, because you can apply for personal tax accounts and things, and the more and more we're seeing with Revenue and Customs, they want you as a taxpayer to have one of these, even if your accountant's got access via their own agent system, but there's certain things only you can have access to. So get those government gateway IDs. The problem then is that it asks you to link your tax return. If you don't normally do your tax return through the system, like you have an accountant do or something like that, it's going to ask you then to put some details in so it can link the tax return. And that's actually where we had issues, because it'll ask for what they call a UTR number. That's your sort of unique tax reference, the number that's on the tax return. As far as HMRC are concerned, that's you. That and your NI number, the two identifiers for you as an individual with Revenue and Customs. They'll want those. And then they'll want you to either prove your identity by then posting you something that's going to take at least 10 days, or you can try and do it online. Now, the problem we had when we did it is actually it went round in circles. 1 minute it would accept the credentials and say, yes, you are who you say you are, and then it would send you back in and then say, no, we don't think you are who you are. So there was quite a problem, and actually we ended up giving up and had to do it again with somebody else, and it worked fine. So you might have these problems. So if you are leaving it to the last minute, please bear that in mind. But obviously if you're doing it during January, because your tax bill should be due by the 31st of January, you might even have some that was delayed originally under the coronavirus rules. You've still got a bit of time between now and the end of March to do it, but don't leave it to the end of March just in case you do encounter some of these issues. So that's the new self-service time to pay. But obviously it's quite specific in terms of whether you can or you can't use it, and then you could have these problems practically getting it done. So if you do have it, you can go back to the old system. And the old system was always available. I think people used to just bury their head in the sand or not really understand what the options were, but you could phone up and ask for a time to pay arrangement. And normally the conversation would go, you know, I can't pay my tax bill, can I spread it? And they say, yeah, sure, how much can you afford? So you're going to phone up and you should have an idea of in your head before you go into that conversation of what you could actually afford. And then you can have that discussion with them. I mean, I've seen it said and heard of instances where they want, you know, assets and liabilities, you know, see actually how much you're worth and cash flows and all this. I've never personally seen that. Most of the time for normal tax debts, you know, they're not incredible figures. They're just going to want to know, you know, have you looked at overdrafts, loans and stuff like that first, and then they can do this time to pay. During coronavirus though, I've never seen it as lax as this in terms of there seems to be a lot less questions, because I think people, they just understand that it's a tough time for everybody. So this is a good time to spread that without them having to absolutely quiz you super hard. So that's the other thing. And again, I will link the number. There's a few different numbers supposedly depending on whether it's coronavirus related or what tax you've got to do, but ultimately if you phone that any of these numbers, you'll end up getting through to somebody that can help you. And that's your two main methods you can use. So the main thing for me is always don't stress too much about it. Be proactive, contact them, talk to them. And I've just found in the majority of cases, you will get a time to pay arrangement that will help you and you'll be able to do that. I mean, there are other things you can do with, there's charities if you're struggling with debt and things like that. But generally, this should be the first approach. Don't sort of just ignore it, because then you get the debt collections, the big penalties and all the rest of it, and that's where it can really start to get stressful. So that's it for now. If you've enjoyed this video, share it with somebody who you feel needs to know this information, and I'll see you in the next one.